So I've been messing with this for over an hour and can't get the rainfly to work right. But what's worse isn't necessarily the rainfly. So I ended up staking it down closer all the way around. Didn't matter. The problem is, for whatever reason, this pole isn't taut. I've loosened this a number of times. Try and tighten it, didn't work. All the rest of them are tight, but the problem is when you try and tighten down the rainfly, which does not fit well at all, the roof collapses, and it's collapsed 10 or 15 times by this point. So obviously, it's frustrating. In this video, I'm going to go over the FreeSpirit Recreation Hub Tent. This is the V1, not the V2. And I had been wanting this tent for a really long time because of the features that it had. And obviously FreeSpirit Recreation has a pretty good name associated with it. So I took a leap of faith and I sold my beloved Gazelle T4, which actually is right there. It's my buddy Anthony, in hopes that this would be everything that I had wanted it to be. So there aren't many videos out on YouTube right now about this tent. Obviously, it wasn't produced for a very long time, and we found out there's a reason why that was. But really quick, I just want to go over the tent so you can see it. So one of the cool things that I really liked was that there's one door, and it's a very wide door. So when you unzip it, you have a ton of area to actually get things in and out, which on the surface is a great idea. But in execution, not that good, and I'll show you why. So when you try to close it, it gets stuck here, and you have to really work it around. In addition to that, there's no bug screen on the door at all. So if you have this open, which you'll want to have it open, and I'll tell you again why in a second, bugs will get in there, which is kind of frustrating. Walking around the tent, as you can see, the rainfly's on here right now, and the biggest issue that I have with the rainfly is that it doesn't fit. And unfortunately, now I realize this isn't how it's designed to go on, but even when it's designed on how it's supposed to be, it's too tight to actually get around these corners. And what was happening was, as soon as I would get the rainfly on there, it was so taut that the roof would collapse on itself. And I reached out to FreeSpirit Recreation and unfortunately didn't have a ton of good responses to what I was hoping to get help with. Okay. So what they suggested was to actually get a tent pole that they sell for the Hub Tent V2 to prop up the roof so that it doesn't collapse on you, which the entire point of a hub tent is that it pops open on its own and you're done. So that was a bummer. So as we go around the tent though, obviously the design's really cool. It pops out similar to the Gazelle, like all hub tents do. But the rainfly going on is a pain. So Anthony, come around this way. But another one of the features why I really wanted this is because it has access for a diesel heater. Obviously I'm running one right now because it's still a little chilly out, but in the summers, I really want to have air conditioning in there, and it allows for that flow in and out of the tent instead of having with the Gazelle to try and wedge it in one of the doors and then you can't close the door completely. So that was an awesome feature. So we'll come around this way. The size is similar to the Gazelle. It's actually a little bit bigger and it folds up a little bit smaller, which obviously those are great assets to this tent. I just wish that the execution was a little bit better. All right, so the inside of the tent, one of the benefits that I wanted this for is that the Gazelle is completely screened up top, and a lot of times it would let out the heat or the air conditioning when I had it inside the tent. Obviously this will retain it. But the problem is because there's no screen on the door, there's very small access to any airflow in and out of the tent. And it's via these windows right here. Now, there are screen storage areas up top, which are nice. There's two on both sides, but nowhere near the same amount of storage as the Gazelle. But these windows, they have a Velcro here and then zippers on the side. So if you don't have the rainfly on, water will absolutely run right in this window. And when you do have the rainfly on, there's no airflow because it literally covers the window. The last feature is that there are vents up top, which are nice, but they're nowhere near big enough to actually have airflow move through. Nice to be there, but again, in execution, it's not very usable, which is unfortunate. But with the pole, which we have here, this is just a regular tent pole. When it's propped up on the roof, it does make the roof much more square, that allows the rainfly to actually fit much more appropriately than if this wasn't here. And obviously, it'll prevent it from collapsing on you, which is a big concern that you don't want in your tent. So the straps that hold down the rainfly are actually really nice, but again, the rainfly doesn't attach to the tent like the Gazelle. It attaches to something in the ground. They give you really beefy stakes from FreeSpirit, and even the V2 has some really beefy stakes, and this cinch strap is really nice because it's quick and easy with these carabiners on there. But again, nowhere near the convenience of the Gazelle. So let's take a quick look at this over here. So as you can see, the rainfly on here attaches directly to the tent itself. Obviously it props up correctly, so nothing needed to support the roof. Taking a look up top, you can see the entire roof is screened, so if you do take the rainfly off, much better airflow, but also does not retain any heat or air conditioning at that point. This also has a screen over the door, like any normal tent, which is really nice for airflow as well. But I mean, outside of that, those are the primary differences between the two. And you know, hindsight, I'm gonna rock this because it wasn't cheap, but I'm gonna go back to a Gazelle at some point. And you know, when I was talking to FreeSpirit about what was going on with the tent, they eventually shared that the V1 was discontinued because I think they said something regarding the fabric or the side or maybe the rainfly was too small, so it was too tight and wasn't working appropriately, which makes sense because if the hubs can't correctly pop out and it's too tight, if any hub isn't completely taut, it will sag down the other sides of that roof or the side or whatever it is. So anyway, long story short, I love the look of it. I love the features, but in practice, it's not as usable as I wish it. Okay, so put this corner on. Okay, cool. So that's on. Now, let's see if they're all on now. Oh, wait, that one's not on. Okay, okay, cool. Now let's. Oh, wait.
We're off.
Oh,
let's try that again.
Yeah. Here, we'll retight this one. Okay, cool.
Now we're good, right?
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, and what about this one? Is that one off too? Oh, that one's off as well. So let's adjust. Oh, now that's off. This is the problem. Luckily, it's not raining or anything.
Hello, ladies.